This is the 2020 Chevy 3500 truck that we've got here. We're going to show you how to take the bumper off. If you've got a sensor bar grill guard, or you're putting a front bumper replacement on this thing, in order to get the bumper off, you got to take quite a bit of the truck apart to even get to the bumper bolts to take it off of there. And even the sensor bar grill guards, the center sensors, you cannot get up underneath there unless you got a better arm than I got. I can't get them out of there without taking the bumper off. So we're going to show you how to take the bumper off. You're going to start on the side here. You've got 3 little screws. You got one right here, one right here, and one right here that actually holds the inner fender well belt, whatever you want to call it, in there on. You got to remove that. It's the little Torx head screws that are 10s. You need to remove those 3 right there, and that allows you, I'll show you here in a second. Once you've removed those, you need to pull this little fender flare out at the bottom. Okay, it pops out. I've already done this a little bit here, so I can show you. It's got 3 of them right here that actually come out. And then there's another series of these 2 right here. The reason we undo those 3 screws is because this is one of those little clips there. On the back side, this is pushed through. If you try to pull these other 2 out, lots of times it can break these little ears off. Not every time, but it can. So what I do is I take that little inner fender well loose, and then you get on the back side, you take your fingers and you can press those in like that, and then it'll pull out. Because you need at least 2 of these out right here to do that. And the reason is because there's another little screw. This little piece has got to come off. This little screw right here, there's a little ear right here. You're going to see that little screw there. It's a 9/32 screw right there that's got to come out. You're going to take that screw out. Once that screw's out, you can take this piece, grab low on that fender right there. But you got to take that fender out and just kind of be careful with it. But this little thing, it just pops out right here. It's only pressed in there. It's got some little catches, but they do break loose on there. Once you got that done, you pull it out, and everything else pulls to the inside. It's got a couple little pegs right there that are in there, but if you start this way and you pull out, they do come out fairly easy on there. Okay, so you need to remove that first. And once you got that, we got the other side off already to help speed this up a little bit. But once you got that off of there, grab my little Torx head there. I'm not sure what I did with it, and I'll show you here. The next thing we do, we need to remove this top little piece right here. Okay, we did most of them, but they're kind of pushed down like that, little eyelets. You'll pull that one up, and once you do that, you can get a regular screwdriver underneath there and remove those. Okay, you need to do that, but before you can actually take that off, this little hood latch has actually got to come off. The same little tin star you use to take these 2 little screws out right there. And that's how you're going to take your hood latch out. Take that off right there. This is going to come straight up. And just kind of put it to the side for right now. Get it out of the way. Once that's off, now you believe you got 4 of them on top. They're number 10s right there that you can take. You got to take all 4 of those loose. Maybe we should have done some of these ahead of time, but it's alright. Unfortunately, the only real reason you got to take those plastic side pieces loose is because they got bottom bolts to this grill that you got to get to also, and they put that plastic over the top. It goes, there's 1 bolt on the bottom on each side to get the bottom of the grill out. It really kind of complicated things a little bit. So once you get them 4 out at the top, this is the one right here that we had to take the plastic off of. That's the only reason you got to take it off, is to get to that one right there. So you got 1 on each side that you got to take loose. one thing about it, you're in the parking lot. Nobody's just going to crawl up underneath your truck and steal your bumper off your truck. A lot of process just to get this chrome bumper off the face. There's only one of them on each side. Once we get these out of here, we got to pull the chrome bumper off, the chrome grill out. There's the main bumper bolts right up underneath that edge of that grill. Once you've got that, I start with the top first. Get the top out. That helps you a little bit. You gotta just snap it. There's a little peg that can loose it right there. That on. So just pulling it easy. Be careful. If you have another guy, it helps. That way he can be on the other side. You kind of hold on to it while you get that loose on there. And I kind of forgot this one's got a little camera right here. Oh, you can unplug it over here. It's got a little red thing slipped up. I believe you push it down. Pull that little red latch up, you push it down, and it unplugs. Not all these are going to have the camera. But you can see here too, maybe I could have pulled at the bottom there. It's got some little clips. It clips in right there. It's got one that clips in right there. So that's what I'm pulling. When I'm pulling on it, that's what I'm pulling loose, is those little clips out of there. You got to take the grill loose. They're off. Just try to set it real carefully. And right here you can see there's a bumper bolt right here. And then there's a bumper, another one straight down. You're going to have to get an extension to get the other one. There's two main bolts on each side to pull this bumper off. And there's also actually another side brace. We're going to show you in a little bit once the bumper's on the sawhorses over there, or the little cart. We can show you exactly where it is. It's because it's kind of hard to see underneath the truck. So we'll show you where that is. Before you pull the chrome bumper off, there's a little harness right here on the passenger side. We've unplugged right there. It just plugs in. It's for your sensors and your fog lights and all that. It's one harness. It's the same thing as I did on that other little one for the camera. You pull that little red clip back, then there's a little black plastic piece right there. You're just going to push it down and it just pulls apart. The other side on the diesels, it's got a little heater element that's on the side of the bumper too that unplugs right there. And this one here, you just push down that little gray spot right there and it pulls out right there. So you got to unplug that before you take it home. These are the two main frame bolts that you took out that we were explaining how you come back down from the top underneath the grill. This is the one that you had to have the extension to. Underneath, when you get up underneath, you got to take these two out on each side too. These are 15 millimeters. These two main frame bolts are 18 millimeter bolts on there. But now on the sensor ones here, this is when we're doing it to get the sensors out for the sensor bar. We took this out. This is the harness, or the housing from the front. This is your sensor that you got to get apart. It's up underneath there. If you got a gas truck, you might not have to take this bumper off. You can probably get your hands up in there like we're talking about. I can't get it on the diesels without taking the bumper off. Maybe you can try before this because it is a lot to take the bumper off. But once you got the bumper off, to get this unplugged from the sensor right there, that sensor's plugged in, you just pull that little red clip back right there, and then right underneath behind it, there's a little black piece right there you got to push down, and then it just unplugs from the sensor. If the bumper's off like that, you can actually get to it. There's a little hole right here that you can actually go down to, and you can flip the little red clip back. You can push the little thing back, and then you just pull it straight out. When you're taking the housing out, the sensor itself, there is one way it has to go. It's a little bit smaller on the housing right here than it is here. So the end with that plugs in goes to the big side of the housing right there, and the other end goes on the smaller side. So when you put it back in your grill guard sensor bar, you got to put it back that way or it won't go. It won't go on there. You can get a screwdriver again. This little thing went from the front to back. It's got some little ears that clip around the little chrome there. You got to push them in and it slides to the front. So the lights come out of your chrome bumper. There's three little bolts right there. You're just going to unbolt the fog lights out of your chrome bumper. We've got this one on here on the brackets right there. We've got 1/4 by 1 bolts in the bolt bag. That's how you're going to bolt it on there. Here's your heater plug and your factory bumper on the driver's side. To take it out of the chrome bumper, this is just like it came out of the chrome bumper. You push that in, you turn it clockwise, and all that stuff right there comes off. So you're just going to put it right back in this one the same way. Push it in, counterclockwise, and it's in. Okay, and then you have to re-plug that into your cord on your truck. And again, your fog light here goes on these little brackets right here that's in the front end. You're just going to get your 1/4x1 and bolt that in there. You've gotten your sensors out. Your factory housing is going to go in there through the front. You're going to take your sensor, pop it in there, and you can just kind of push up on that thing. And that's how you put the sensors in. Once you've got all the sensors and all that in, you're going to take the harness out. Just like you take it out of the chrome bumper, you're going to put it back in this front end. And you're going to plug all your sensors, lights, and all that good stuff back on. And then these little pads right here is what goes to the mounting brackets on the truck. And once you've got all that ready to go, sensor harnesses and all that put in, you're ready to get a couple guys to help you hang it on the truck. Putting the brackets on your 2020 Chevy, you can see how you got this one on. We already got the driver's side on. The top 2 bolts here on your frame cap there, we reused the factory bolts, and it goes on the outside of the frame where your tow hook bolts are. As long as you've got tow hook bolts. If you don't have tow hooks, you're going to use factory bolts that we have in the kit that are 1/2 by 1 3/4 that are going to replace your tow hook bolts there. When we're putting it on there, one side you're going to have to completely remove the tow hook just to get the bolts out and all that and put it back on. But to put the bracket on, it's just like that. And again, like I said, you're going to reuse your 15mm bolts. Your tow hook bolts, as long as you got tow hooks, are 18mm. I think most of them got tow hooks on there. But that's how you're going to put your brackets on. Once you get in there, just make sure everything's really tight on there. And after your brackets are on, now you can put the rest of the truck back together and you're ready to put your front end on. Once a couple guys have helped you get it up there, what we do is put a jack up under each end, and that way you can get it up and down from side to side. I always like around that 3/4, 1/2 inch or so reveal right here. Even 1 inch is okay if you're going through pasture or whatever, any vibration, you don't want to hit the plastic right there. But once you've got it up and down side to side, you can kind of take tape too and measure from the fender to the outside of the deck right there to get it the same. You can kind of go by the loop too, but this is all slanted. It's kind of hard to get a true accurate measurement right there. So I just go by the floor plate right there. But then once all the bolts are tight and all that on there, make sure all your harness is plugged back in. What I do to get it up and down side to side, though, let me back up. I kind of get down and eyeball the bottom of this with your fender well, and that's kind of how you know when it's right up and down on each side. But once it's there, just tighten up all your bolts, and that's the install on the 2020 Chevy front end.